Welcome to this special edition of Next Up. I'm your co-host, Marlon Gordon from NxtGen Network.
My name is Nisha Bagapelli and I'm from LINQ. And for over 25 years, LINQ has been focusing on empowering the central office superheroes to really just focus on giving them the right solutions and services to help them make their school stronger. And today is just another example of that. What do we have in store for today?
So today is the first series of the 4 C's behind the business of child nutrition. And this is a collaborative effort that we put together after interviewing Shannon Solomon from Aurora County Public Schools in Colorado. And I have to say, Nisha, talking to Shannon was mind-blowing, was it not?
We learned so much that day, so much that I think other school nutrition directors really just needed to focus on the business side of things. And I think it became really evident to us that we needed to help bridge that gap,
Yes.
that we should give other school nutrition directors the platform to talk about tips and tricks and how they're treating their department as a business.
Exactly. And in part of doing that, we're having this series. Like I said, we're going to have 3 episodes with the 4th one live down the road, so stay tuned for that. But this first episode, we're going to be chatting about collaboration, and Shannon will be the host for the show.
And we collaborate all the time.
We do.
So can't wait to kick this off. We can't wait to learn more. I'll meet you after the episode.
Let's do it. Enjoy.
All right, hey everybody, thank you so much for being with us here today. Our topic today is collaboration. And if we've learned anything over the last years, and collaboration is about taking a village. And school nutrition across this country takes a village. We all know that. Siloing ourselves is not what's gonna work through our community, through our districts. So I just want you guys to kind of talk about some of the things that you do in your district to make sure that collaboration is happening for the success in feeding our children. So which one of you 3 want to start us off with some awesome stories about collaboration? I will pick on you.
Okay, I will jump right in. I think one of the most important things about collaboration that I learned for these last years is collaborating with each other. I think we're so focused internally sometimes that we forget to reach out and find those lifelines that are our fellow directors and nutrition superheroes that are throughout the country. And it's a really great opportunity to learn and to grow yourself and really be introspective when you hear those stories coming from other parts of the country. I've learned so much. I'm in Ohio. So, you know, it's kind of a little microcosm. And so it's really great to be able to hear what's happening out in the East Coast and the West Coast and down here in Florida, and then take those ideas and bring them back to my district. That's the kind of collaboration I've really learned from during this time.
Yeah, we aren't stealing each other's customers, so.
That's right. Nothing wrong with a little R&D, rip off and duplicate.
Absolutely.
Collaboration for us in our district is not just amongst ourselves, but other departments. As most of you all are probably aware, and you've seen, I know we were big in our district, is collaborating with transportation.
Yeah.
They were fundamental in us getting that food out to the community when schools were shut down. So the collaboration we have within our district with our transportation people, they are second to none. Right now, if we're short people, which most of us are when it comes to labor, we have bus drivers that'll finish a morning route. They'll come help us serve when we can't find substitutes. They'll come help us serve, then go back on the bus and go transport our kids. So it's the collaboration from within that to me is key.
100%.
Yeah, I have found working with local manufacturers, restaurants, distributors has really helped me a lot during, now we have food shortages like crazy. Some of them will make recipes for you, so being short staffs, we still want to uphold our scratch-ish kind of recipes and the same sort of quality standards that we're used to. And some of those local manufacturers have actually been able to make our recipes, pack it for us, and then we can just reheat it, not having to chop all the onions and do all of that. So I found that to be probably the best collaboration that I could have expanded on. in our district.
Absolutely.
And it really takes a village, right? One of the things we were focusing on is making sure we're taking care of our community as a whole. It was great that we were able to provide meals for our kids, for our students, but what about their families? What about the people that we weren't technically allowed to assist? And that's where reaching out and collaborating with our local YMCAs, our recreation centers, or our nonprofits, or our Freestar Food Bank, where we're able to then figure out how we could become a one-stop shop for families. So when families came to pick up meals for their kiddos, they could also pick up a family box of produce or a box of dry goods or household items that could be supplied for many of our different community partners. So really making sure we were a wraparound service for our community.
So, and also, I don't know about you guys and your guys' districts, but we border 2 other major districts in Colorado. And I actually our district partnered with, our department partnered with another nutrition department, and we served a park that we share a border to. So it was 2 districts coming together over the summer program to feed the kids that came in that park. Because some of the kids, it's one major 4-lane street that separates Cherry Creek schools from Aurora Public in Colorado, and we were able to feed at this huge park in Colorado, Mission Viejo, and we were able to collaborate with another district and work it out where everything was legit and claiming and doing all that stuff and being a little bit different. And 2 districts were feeding a community of kids throughout the entire summer. And then, like you said, small businesses, those kinds of things, and inter-district. We've been collaborating a lot with student workers. What about you guys? Like working with kids that serve other students. Do any of you do that in your districts?
I don't currently. We did in my previous district. We would hire the culinary students to help us with some of the evening things or when school wasn't in session to help catch up on things. But I use interns a lot to help with doing some of those things as well.
Awesome.
We've been kind of focusing on more of like a pipeline. So we've really partnered with our local community college that has a culinary arts program and seeing how we can pipeline those people directly into the school nutrition field instead of having them go and farm out into the restaurants across our city, really having them have a place to land that is something that benefits both them and benefits also our district.
That's awesome. How about you, Roy?
Yeah, we don't use students too much. We do have a culinary, but they're busy serving the adults in the area there. And, we're fortunate. We don't have the greatest of need when it comes to labor, and probably because we're a little bit more of a smaller community there. But at any time, if I needed the superintendent of schools to come serve meals, she would come serve meals.
Wow.
That's how we are there. So,
Wow.
idea, 2 words, feed kids.
Amen.
Whatever it takes, feed kids.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think with us, we started, because I come from the restaurant industry, those of you, first of all, Golden Fame Award winner. I love you, Roy. I just have to shout out. I'm sorry, I can't help it. I feel like I'm in royalty with him here. I'm a silver aspiring, but yeah. So we decided, because I came from the restaurant industry and I worked with a lot of people in fast food, a lot of students in fast food. So I'm used to working with 16 to 18 to 20-year-olds all the way up. So we decided to, at our high schools, collaboration with the students was we started a shift for an assistant manager to do a 10 o'clock in the morning shift to 6:30 at night. So our high school kids, and we have 7 traditional high schools, our high school kids are starting to get employed by us, and they're working that 3 o'clock when they get out of school, 3:15, 3:20, whenever they get out, to 6:30. It's 3 hours. We hire them, and they do the prep for the next day, a lot of the fruits, a lot of the vegetables. And we have one high school that's got a staff of 5 high school kids at the end of every day. Wow. And it is, through all of this, has turned out to be a huge blessing, not only for us, but then now we've got a wait list of kids that are starting to want to come in. They see them, they're like, oh my gosh, because the commute for them is they get out of school, put their backpacks down, and come work for us. And we're paying the same, well, close to the same thing some fast food restaurants are around us. So it's a huge collaboration with students and the admin, and then that assistant manager position gets to come in right before lunch starts and work a little bit later into the evening.
And that's what I love about this. Like, there were so many times that we were just so down on ourselves and so negative at this time, and then there's always those silver linings. Those things we learned, those things we're able to now continue to incorporate that we would have probably never discovered if we hadn't pushed ourselves to find those innovative solutions to collaborate. One of the things that we found was our ability to connect with local farmers. When COVID happened and all the restaurants were shut down, all these farmers had this beautiful produce that usually was purchased immediately by the restaurants in our area. And they were left like, what do we do with all these different types of produce? And we were like, we'll take that. And so we're now up to almost 60% of our local produce coming in from farmers right around our area, which has been a great connection for our families and for our kids. And that farmer relationship is something that I don't think we would have really explored fully if it hadn't been for us being forced in that direction through COVID. So silver lining.
And that is a huge collaboration with community, employment, keeping it, with, that's huge. And local restaurants and different, I know you have a huge farm to school type stuff.
Yeah,
in your
we're
district.
actually one out of 16 districts in Colorado that have the local foods program grant. It's a trial grant. We do a ton of local purchasing. A lot of our fruits and vegetables through the pandemic and now come from local farmers. We're able to connect kids back with the agriculture that grows in the area, which has actually increased our fruits and vegetables consumption. Before the pandemic, you would see a lot of the salad bar left over or in the trash. Now we're seeing kids take things, especially things that they hadn't seen before, like an apricot or a nectarine. They didn't know what a nectarine was, but they're all local. Now they have that connection, which is, as a dietitian and a chef, something that's I'm passionate about and important to me.
Oh, it's yummy. So when you think about collaboration, you talked a little bit, Roy, about in your district and the transportation department. We partnered a lot with custodian as well, helping serve and stuff like that. And when you think inter-district collaboration, I mean, our superintendent was out serving with me as soon as COVID hit as well, at the beginning and doing some stuff. So to me, it was, I mean, we use the word essential, right, across the country. And I tell my team all the time, let's never forget that paper we carry. I don't know if your guys' cities made you guys when we first reported to work. I had to put a paper in every single one of my employees' cars that said, if you get pulled over, show them this. So that in your, I don't know if your cities did this, but we couldn't drive around. Like we weren't allowed to even be out. And so there was a piece of paper that you could show an officer that said, I'm essential, I have to report to work. And as I was reading that, of course, those of you that know me really well know I was a blubbering, emotional mess. But I'm reading this and something I knew, and you guys know as directors, and anyone listening knows we've been essential forever, right? School kids can't learn with grumbling bellies. But this letter, when I was reading it, was like, at the very beginning of COVID, was like, we are essential. And the world now is acknowledging that we have to come to work. And so to me, and it wasn't just school nutrition, it was custodial helping us and all of that. So when you guys think about like collaboration, what is some of the stuff that just really stood out for you all? Not just in COVID, but like what has happened, because we're coming out of this, we're all maskless, woo woo. But I mean, we're coming out of this a little bit to say, where were we at before COVID? Where were we at during COVID? And where were we at? And the collaboration that happens, that we are essential, and that rock of support that happens in transportation and custodial and teachers and all of that stuff throughout everything. Breakfast in the classroom, those kinds of things.
Yeah, you know, I think that they really kind of understood that there were more regulations and like things to consider when building out a school day. So when we came back in person, we had a task force that was talking about how do we bring kids back, and school meals came up, like when do we serve, how do we serve, and some of the intricacies that are involved in how labor intensive some of our things are. We can't have breakfast backing up to lunch. So I finally felt like part of the team, right, since those things are usually ignored, to be able to talk about some of those things to make lunchtime and mealtime still special for kids even during a pandemic.
That's awesome.
You know, for us, we're essential. I never even have to ask, are we essential in our district? Okay, that's just the way we operate where we are. Okay, constant meetings every week, meet with our assistant superintendent in charge of support services, and we report on the challenges that we're facing each and every day, and we continue to do that. Now again, we were in Florida, so we were pretty much not shut down, okay, so we had a little advantage when it came to that. But you talk about collaboration. One of the things we started when the pandemic first hit, our superintendents on the West Coast, because that's where I am housed, were collaborating with each other. how do we tackle these challenges now?
Sure.
Okay. So I reached out to my good friend Julie Hadeen. I'll give a shout out to her. She was the director here in Pasco County. And I said, Julie, our superintendents are talking. Why shouldn't we be bouncing ideas off each
100%,
other?
yeah.
We got a hold of the State Department. I have a very good, close relationship with them. I asked them, would they sit on our Zoom calls? I'll host them. We'll do it once a week. They said, absolutely. We'll have somebody to answer any questions. And it grew. We started out the west coast of Florida. We're talking, 5, 6 school districts. It morphed. We started bringing on new directors that had never had to deal with these challenges before. And that was 2 years ago. I still host this call. We call ourselves the COVID Crusaders. And we're up to 25 school districts that
Nice.
get on. Now we do it twice a month, okay? And they look at Roy, we don't want this to end. It's like therapy. Okay.
Yeah.
So we just it's only an hour because
Well, now you
everybody's
realize
time.
your group of 25 is about to
Absolutely.
grow. You heard it
Absolutely.
first on Next Up, COVID Crusaders.
But again, we help those that have never had these challenges. I always say, food service people in general are the greatest problem solvers, bar none. Bar none. We were never
Yeah.
given a playbook. How do you make this happen and still continue to feed kids?
100%.
We figured it out.
Immediately.
Plain and simple. And you didn't have time to sit there and, based on past history, if we do this, no. Figure it out. And you would tweak it as it went along. And we're still a success in what we all do across the country to continue to feed kids during these tough times.
Yeah.
Not only are we essential and problem solvers, we are amazing collaborators. I mean, when you really think about what we have done, not only internally, working with our teachers and our preschool programs and transportation and purchasing and all these little flaming hoops of red tape we were jumping through within our department, but then being able to reach out and share that information through our other student directors, those conduits. But then you brought up a really great point about our state agencies. Like, they really stepped in, leaned in, and helped out so much because we were all throwing it together. And navigating those waters together, I thought, was so helpful. So I want to make sure that it's kind of mentioned and talked about, like how we collaborate with our state agencies. And I don't want to see that dropped at all. We have a once a month now call with our state agency where they kind of go around and say, here's what's happening, here's what we see that might be happening, and what questions do you have? And just being able to have that ability to speak directly and kind of express and be real, kind of be raw with your state agency and say, I have concerns about this, is a whole new level. We used to kind of circle the wagons and not exactly share everything of our state agencies because we weren't sure if it would get us necessarily in trouble or not. I'm just going to be transparent. We're all here, right? But what we found instead is that they are so willing to work with us to make sure that we are taken care of in every way possible. And that's been wonderful.
And I think it goes back to what you said. Bottom line, 2 words. What'd you say?
Feed kids.
Feed
Right.
kids.
Feed
And the
kids.
state agency is there's a support system so that we're able to be frontline executors of feeding kids, right? So, yeah, the regulations, I'm going to be honest, when I first came into school nutrition 14 years ago, I was like, oh, wow. Like, seriously, I have to navigate through all of this, and we have a great team. But, yeah, it does get hard. And then the ever-changing, right? Like, stuff's just changed last week. And I love what you said, Roy, and I want you to kind of expand on it. We're problem solvers. So whatever you throw at us, like, we're parents. We're people, not all of us are parents, but, I'm a grandparent. Woo woo. But, I mean, like, I have 3 grandkids, and so I want to make sure that they are, being taken care of at schools. I don't want to, my kids don't make lunch. We send kids to school to eat lunch and breakfast. And so, we feed kids. So what does that look like when it comes to problem solving on a dime? Like, what is, as we're all directors in different districts, but we all have one mission, and that's that 2 words you were talking about. So what does that look like that?
Well, big challenge right now for all of us, supply chain. Okay, you can't sit there and say, woe is me.
No.
Okay, when is it? It's going to happen. It's going to change.
It's happening.
It's not. Okay, anytime soon. So you have to figure out right now, at least in our district, and there's a few other districts in the state of Florida, to where we don't have a distributor come June 30th. I have no distributor with which to deliver to our schools. I can't sit there and wallow in self-pity and say, how am I going to figure that out? So got the greatest team, and I'm going to give a shout out to them, my dream team, office staff, bar none, best there is.
Okay, now
okay.
you done crossed the line. Just kidding.
But we meet. I always say everybody brings something to the table, so I want to hear everybody's ideas. How do we figure this out? Because we still got to feed kids. So currently, right now, we are working with a commercial warehouse in the state of Florida, and we have truckloads of food being delivered there. We pay the storage fees for them. We have our own refrigerated trucks. We go pick up the food ourselves and still make sure we're doing those 2 words.
Huh. That kind of sounds like
kids.
superhero stuff. Like I dare you to get in my way of not having food for my kids. That's kind of what I say.
Right?
It's like, I dare you, because we're going to problem solve. And we're going to have food for the kids. It's just, how do we get there?
I've gone to another district and filled my 4Runner up with milk because they had milk and I didn't, and I needed milk. I've gone to Costco a million times myself, right? But leaning on each other and their other people's warehouses has been super helpful. You have to get creative. You have to reach out and find out, hey, your prison systems or whomever, like, do you have a distributor? Do you have a place to put things? Can we work something out where I can get food, because my kids aren't going to suffer in this at all.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And I got it. Speaking of shout outs, though, also to our industry partners. Like, honest to goodness, I have never seen anybody be able to flip on a dime and innovate so quickly. Take an item that was traditionally being, vetted up for commercial preparation and be able to switch it quickly to something that I can serve to my students. That is, restaurant quality, delicious, and yet nutritious and meets the guidelines. They have been outstanding partners and collaborators with us.
Or even when they took their bulk things and put them in IW. Created meal kits, wheat kits,
right?
And they did it so fast. It was amazing and so reassuring and helpful.
I love that they caught, what do you need? That was the call I got from my industry people. What do you need? How can we help you? It wasn't like, well, my bottom line has to be this, so you're on your own. It was, what can we do? Because I tell you, I think they are in it for the main reasons we are, and that is feed the kids.
Absolutely. Our distributors are trying, and I have no ill will, and we're still in negotiations with them. The challenges they're facing with the labor as well, how can they get it to us? And remember, they are a business, okay? They have to answer to shareholders, okay? They have to do what they have to do, but I truly believe, again, they're in it for the kids. They don't want to see any child suffer, and they'll figure out somehow to get us the food. Might not be as often as we all want it, and at our back door during the hours that we want it, okay? But they're gonna help get that food to us some way.
So I think wrapping us up today, and first off, I just want to thank you guys for being here. I feel like I'm with royalty, with superheroes, but collaboration. And I think the biggest message for collaboration for all of us, and I want you guys to kind of take us out with one thing that really sets the tone for you. But the biggest thing for collaboration is, we're 4 directors up here on Next Up, but I realized I'm not alone. And you talked about your COVID Crusaders. First of all, I didn't get an invite, but no, I'm just kidding. But I'm just saying, like, we are not alone in this. And so when you're feeling, and I don't know about I'm a fairly newer director. I've been 4 years. She's been a director longer than I have. But I mean, like, and but you're not alone. And if we have one message to get out there, all of us are doing the same thing with those 2 words across this country and universally all across the world. So collaboration is the fact you're not alone. And some things might work for you, some things don't. So one last thing to bring us home, collaboration, what does it mean to you? Real quick.
Well, Shannon, you just made me feel super old because you said 4 years. I don't know how long Katie's been. I've been one for 27 years, so I'm the old man of the group here. But collaboration means, helping each other. I don't know how else to say it. I love sharing my experiences with somebody that might be a new director. They're nervous. They don't know if this will work, and we just throw ideas out there and try and help each other. And that's what's great about school nutrition. We all help each other. I don't care if you're in Colorado, you're in Ohio. By the way, I was born in Ohio. So shout out for
That'll be the next episode.
Okay, there you go. And then obviously in the Sunshine State here in Florida. But we're all looking to help each other. What can we do? So to me, that's what collaboration is, helping each other.
Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. I think he summed it up perfectly. It's us not being afraid to be vulnerable, not being afraid to reach out, and then also as a season director, not shutting the door to somebody who might have a question that you're like, oh, you don't know the answer to that? Being authentic, being genuine, and really being able to offer that hand of help.
Yeah, I'm always looking to how do I push the needle, right? How do I be more effective, right? And change the vision of school nutrition. And I can't do that alone. I have ideas, but you have great ideas and you have great ideas. And taking those ideas together make my program even more amazing than it already is to benefit our children.
Yeah.
Well, I just love collaborating with all of you, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
we'll
Shannon.
see you next episode.
See you soon.
Wow, Nisha, that episode was awesome.
The one thing I think that was really evident was getting creative about feeding our kids.
Yes.
I think everybody said that over and over again, and I think that I was blown away. Cannot wait.
So if I was a food service director or a child nutrition professional and I had more questions, wanting to learn more, where could I go to find that information?
Great question. So we are developing a business guide. It's going to be available to download right here. I'm pointing down because I'm assuming the link is going to be right here. You can download it here. It'll have the summary of all the information and all the tips and tricks that you need from this episode.
And everyone, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.